Hello. You are listening to 90.7 Wgcc in Batavia, New York. Today is Thursday, July 17th, 2014, and you are listening to The J-Red Show. And I have a special guest, the one and only Dan. How are you doing today?
I am doing just fine. It's always a pleasure to be here on The J-Red Show, here in wonderful, beautiful, warm, sunny Batavia, New York.
Oh, yes. Well, a little history between me and Dan. I mean, I have my own show, and I've been on his show at Canisius College, WCCG, Chuck the Manual. I was the senior sports correspondent.
That's true. Every single week, Wednesdays, I believe it was, we did our show, and at some point we would have J-Red call in and give us the weekly update on Bills, Sabres, and really whatever else is going on. So.
And that's what we'll be doing tonight. We'll be talking about sports, maybe some other things, but most importantly, great music. Our cell phone service is down, but if you want requests, tweet me at bmb2jn@aim.com. And coming up next is a band that's coming to Darien Lake next week, Avenged Sevenfold with the Beast and the Harlot. So keep it up to 9.7, the Music FM.
Come on, come on, come on and shout. Yeah, I feel happy now. We're on the move now. I feel happy now. I'm making it happen now. I got to feel it. I got to feel it, yeah. I got to feel it. Make it happen now. Let's go. Let's go.
What? I don't know. There's a couple more sports teams that songs like the Blue Jays. You are listening to 90.7 WGCC. Now it's Buffalo Bills shout song, and the question is, where else would you rather be than next to your radio or YouTube computer listening to 90.7 the Music FM? And now let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. A few months after Ralph Wilson's death, the Buffalo Bills ownership situation is still being decided, and Buffalo Sabres owner Terry Pagula has put his bid in.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Jed. It seemed to me at first that it was just, he was a local Buffalo guy. He really wanted to look good in Buffalo with the building of the Harbor Center and all. I thought it was just kind of him, pomp and circumstancing around. But I really think that, I think Terry Pagula is going to be the next owner of the Bills.
That would be interesting to see one man own both Buffalo sports teams.
True. There might be some concerns that he'd be a little too powerful, but I think when it comes to sports, that matters. It's not like government.
Right. Yeah, he does make a lot of, he's pumping a lot of money into the economy with the Harbor Center and all, and I'm sure he'll put in more stuff, so. And now let's talk about the team itself. They had a 6-10 record last year, but.
And I think the odds on the Bills right now are at 6.5 games again, unfortunately. So the numbers guys don't give us too much credit. What do you give them for the team this year, though?
Before Alonso's injury, I was more along your lines. 7 to 8 years. 2013 they finished 6-10, but they were really competitive in a lot of games. You got to consider the quarterback situation. Winning 6 to 10 games, if they could build, I was thinking if they could have built off that, they could win. I was thinking more like 7 or 8. I'm not sure it's quite playoff material.
Well, when you think about it, though, Pete Alonso was a defensive linebacker, correct?
Right.
Okay. I think it hurts. It really does. But more so for depth. We still have Marcel Vargas. We still have Mario Williams. And we still have who we think, going off the line next year, we have who we think is going to be a good cornerback. I'm a little bit more concerned with Spurs Davis. I think they'll be much better with the running defense this year, especially with our new defensive coach. And I'm just worried about, when we face a Brady, who could certainly throw all over a really good free safety. I don't know who's going to stop him.
Right. The Buffalo Bills lost Jarvis Bird, and that's really going to hurt the team this year. That's really a bummer. But fortunately, we have, with the new ownership, I think Pagula is willing to pump money into the team. And in my opinion, I think he should do the same thing with the Bills that he did with the Sabres and Ruff and Regier. Give Doug Marrone, Doug Whaley, and this team about a 2 to 3 year window, trying to see if they can build off this. But for like 2 to 3 years now, we're still going 6-10, gut the team, and just tank.
I would like to see a lot more of DJ Stiller this year. I love Fred Jackson, I love Seth, and I love that he's like the Buffalo man, like kind of like Brian Norman was for a long time with his team, but DJ Stiller just has some explosiveness that Fred doesn't have, be it age or just the type of player he is.
Exactly. But the player that has the most pressure on him, by far, the quarterback, E.J. Manuel.
You know, the funny thing is, I still don't know how I expect out of him this year. I suppose with having a new target to Sammy Watkins, who numerically on paper has very, very good stats in college, he might be expected to get more yards and maybe throw a couple more touchdown passes, but it's still, at the end of this year, I'll have a better idea, so I'll look much better than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm not sold on E.J. Manuel as a franchise quarterback, but I do like him better than Miami's Ryan Tannehill. I like him better than the Jets' Geno Smith. And Tom Brady's getting older. He's like 36. He should be coming down. The problem is he's one of the greatest of all time. He is coming down from Mount Everest.
Yeah. In my opinion, has already proven to be the greatest of all time, to much to the chagrin of Buffalo sports fans. Most people don't like to hear me say that, but I can't argue performing the numbers.
I'm not sure if I would call him the greatest, but he is definitely top 5, top 10. He is up there. He's surefire Hall of Famer. He's just great. And
would we at least agree that he's the best in today's football? Maybe not. It's hard to compare today's football with yesteryear's run-heavy football.
That's a tough question. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got the Manning brothers. Yeah, it's very debatable, and we'll just be interested to see how this season goes. And
I can't wait to see him take on Kansas City yet again in Cleveland. All those fun dudes get to watch year in and year out.
Yeah, that's how the Bills get to 6-10. We always beat Kansas City. We always beat Cleveland. Well, we didn't beat it last year, but we usually beat Cleveland. But we can never beat the Patriots or the good teams. And that's why we've gone 13 years without a playoff appearance and 10 years without a winning season.
And I'll tell you what, it will be refreshing to see this team, to see a quarterback who, good or bad, given someone who took a chance on it, wasn't just a journey where they picked up from another team. I'm probably allowed to say for this season as I was the first year that Ken left. And fantastic, but at least it was like, oh boy, this could get really
right. I'm still expecting 7 to 8 wins this year, and we'll see. It's right around the corner. It's training camp's going on the way soon, and we'll soon have the first preseason game against the New York Giants. It's a Hall of Fame game.
Where the first team, actually, I think it's coming next week, Monday, don't they? Or Tuesday? They do start too. Us and then the Giants, the rookies and the quarterbacks are already reporting for one Bill start today, actually.
Yep, and that's actually 1-2. I believe it's August 3rd is the opening, is the Hall of Fame game, so it's 3 Sundays from now.
Oh, yeah, I meant the training game.
Oh yeah, the training. I think they report them to down. I think it's this Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
And
we're halfway to Rochester. You come out this way, you can go to St. John
Fisher College.
And take a look at them. Most of the practices are free. Some of them do cost. Most of them are open to the public, except usually when they're doing something in Cleveland.
And another team you can see in the training camp is the Buffalo Sabres. We will get back into the music, and then we'll talk about the Sabres next. So tweet me for requests, and keep up next to CM Punk's theme song, Cult of Personality. Keep up to 90.7 the Music Sound, the best in the world. And this is 90.7, the Music FM. That was Chris Drury's goal from a couple of years ago when the Sabres were good. But they're not good now. They finished last place in the entire NHL. But that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Why? 2 reasons. One, Darcy Regier is fired. He is out of here. And in his place is Tim Murray. And the number 2 reason is the number 2 pick. Unfortunately, they didn't get number 1 overall. They lost the lottery to Florida, but they still got Sam Reinhart. So, Dan, where do you think the Sabres go from here?
Well, first off, I have to say, if you know me, you know how much I like Summer a lot. But I would give anything to have that be live right now, what we just listened to. Anyway, I don't really think it was too bad that we lost down to second, first off, because I don't think Florida was even thinking about taking Reinhart. I think the consensus was they needed defense, so they were going to take Ekblad one way or another.
And even though the Sabres defense has room for improvement, it's an okay defense. It could be better, but
I look at two people really. Rasmus Ristolainen is our future on defense, future number one, and then Chad Ruido, I mean, he needs to work, but he's another really good prospect. I think we have a good defensive prospect.
And here's a guy who's kind of a toss-up, Tyler Myers. He really regressed, but he seemed to have gotten better as he went along. But you're still talking about trading him.
I am talking about trading him because I think that we can get a lot for him. I think other teams probably feel the way that you do, that there's some untapped potential there. I'm just sick of trying to tap it. I don't think he's by himself a good player. I think he's with a good player can be a very good player.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that he was better under Ted Nolan than he was under Ruff or Rolston really shows you much about him. And I agree. I mean, this is definitely this is probably going to be another tank year. We got some high-end talent at the end of the draft. Connor McDavid, as experts call him, the next Sidney Crosby or the LeBron James of hockey. And if the Sabres wanted to turn their franchise around, they need a player like him.
I am 100% ready to watch this team this year, really wanting them. Last year, I can't explain the feeling of wanting the team to lose. It's out of this world, really. I never thought it could happen, but I am actually rooting for them to lose. I voted against the Sabres last year.
I'm kind of in the middle. I mean, I want the worst the Sabres do, and well, they pitched the Islanders and the Blues because we were against them as well. But anyhow, I agree. I mean, it's kind of tough. Even though last year's team was historically bad, and I want this year's Sabres to be a little bit better. I mean, not too much better because they, like I said, I would like to have some of these elite players, but it's a pretty cheap draft, and like the top 5 could be all elite. But I like to see them improve just a little bit from last year.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't do too much harm. I just think every time I see them win this year, I'm going to just cringe like that. 2 more points away from where I want to be. And, I mean, you look at all the teams right now, like Chicago, Pittsburgh. No, Pittsburgh's a bad example, but Chicago is like the prime example. The Kings to an extent, Anaheim to an extent. All the things that are common with them is that they had a season, either 1, 2, or some seasons where they really, really were the bottom of the league. I think both of our sports franchise issues is the drafting. We don't finish at the bottom. We finish right looking outside the playoff, or like in that bottom 4th, but not the bottom 5, like 10 or 11.
What are your thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers? They finished last place and won the lottery 3 years in a row, but they still finished 29th place. Do you think these draft picks will eventually get them into a contender, or is it taking way too long, in your opinion?
The problem with the Oilers is they're not substituting. Well, they're not doing what the Sabres did this summer, acquiring those players like Gorges and they got some other veterans, and they're past their time, no doubt.
Halleck? No, not Halleck. It's from Montreal, yeah.
Well, you looked it up while you
go.
Thinking about it. Anyways, so if Edmonton would fill in those prospects with some proven talent, now that they've got 3 years of those prospects, now they need to start trading those high prospects away to build and get players that are going to be your top line, and hope that your draft picks turn into your top line. I think something that people don't remember either is when you have a high draft pick, that just doesn't mean that first one of the draft. You're also going to have a high draft pick in round 2, 3, 4, and on. So you're still going to get the top of each section of players.
And the player you're looking for is Brian Gianta.
Yeah. And Mazzaro. Can you believe he's going to be wearing a state this year?
Oh, I have some memories of him back in Ottawa in 2006. I'm looking forward to that as well.
I don't know the word I'm looking for. I was a little bit dumbfounded when I saw, three. Gorgeous is not bold, but Gianta and Mazzaro, they're definitely not spring chickens.
Well, that's what the Buffalo Sabres need. They need some veteran presence to help train these professionals.
Right. Not as much this year. Definitely next year. What I want to see is a solid team led by. I can give Connor the NHL. I think it's good for all of them guys. Most people would probably disagree with me on that. But a solid team led by Zemgus Jurgensen and people like Gorgeous and Shannon Beal and the rest of this line on defense because they're not amateurs anymore. They're not rookies.
Speaking of the AHL, the Amerks are getting ready for their season as well. I mean, if the Sabres are tanking, I'm really hoping Murray can get the Amerks on track. They haven't won a playoff series in a decade, and it doesn't always work. But normally, if you're tanking and rebuilding like this, you want to build your AHL team. The last two times the Amerks won the Calder Cup in 1987 and 1996, they tanked. They finished last place, well, not close to last place in '96, but. That's what they got. Zach Delp and Paul. Rumor has it that this is signed Paul Bisonette. And well, before we get to the back of the music, I want to talk about one more thing. There's a new playoff format in the AHL. Overtime format. All right. I don't know if you heard about this yet. Okay. 7-minute overtimes. It keeps the same. 7 minutes overtime. You lose the overtime. You get 1 point. You get 4-on-4 for the first 4 minutes, 3-on-3 for the next 3 minutes, and then shootout is pretty much it could be the NHL shootout. Normally it's 5 rounds, and now it's 3 shoot. What are your thoughts on this new overtime format?
Well, I do like the fact that we're playing 3-on-3 before going to the shootout. I think it makes for interesting, open ice, exciting hockey. I like that. Just as a correction, though, it's not necessarily 4 minutes and then 3 minutes. After the 4th minute expires, at the next whistle, they're going to switch to 3-on-3. So if there's no whistle between the 4th minute and 7th minute, there might not be a chance to, go down the transfer. Highly unlikely. Line changes, icing, what have you. Okay, so there's that. Second thing is, which I don't really mean to copy anyone, but I'm going to have to go with a buddy of mine, not buddy, but someone I listen to quite a bit on WGR 550 in Buffalo, Jeremy White. This can all be solved with a 3-2-1 point. Plain and simply. Do whatever you want in overtime. I don't care. 3-2-1 points would make so much more sense. Yeah,
it makes sense. They try to sit on if you get 3 points, so it's, a lot of times teams sit on leads. So. And they try to get to overtime. It's like you want to get them more encouraged to win in regulation or win in overtime. So I get 3 points for a regulation or overtime victory, 2 for a shootout, 1 for a shootout loss. I mean, and then 0 for regulation. And that's definitely the debate with the shootout. I mean, it may not be the most kosher way or proper way to determine a winner, but the fans love it. I go to a lot of games and I hear, I hope this game goes to a shootout. I hope this game goes to a shootout.
I think with a horrible team too. So you're getting more bang for your buck. It's like, this team is going nowhere, so we can see an exciting thing when we go pay for a ticket.
You just read my mind. I was just saying that in my head. It's like, if you're fighting for a playoff spot, you'll be more intrigued trying to get it to end the game in regulation. And if you're a bad team like the Sabres, or if you're a good team, you have everything clinched. Like, just get it over, get it to the shootout, just entertain your fans.
Yeah, and I mean, you still have with a 3-2-1 point system, you still have a loser point per se, because as soon as you make it into overtime, you get a point, no matter what. But by taking, you won't really want to sit on a lead and just be defensive and let them come into your zone if you could actually be losing points. When you're thinking about this and going into overtime, if you still think you can beat them, when you think you're more talented as a team, you're still going to get the same 2 points that you would have gotten in regulation. But in the 3-2-1 system, as soon as you go into overtime, the winner gets 2 and the loser gets 1.
Right. And I definitely hope the NHL and the AHL considers making a change in this point system. And let me know you being back into the music, and then we will talk about more stuff. And this is 9.7. Keep it watching.
Striking body slam, bring it over.
Du hast by Rammstein on 90.7, a German song from Germany, and Deutschland is the cricket song, not a different song. Deutschland is happy and gay because Germany has won the FIFA World Cup.
Were you quoting the producer?
Yes, I was. And I'll be quoting. Anyhow, we'll talk about 2 more sports subjects, and then we'll probably switch gears and like movies or something. LeBron James, the king, is back in Cleveland.
Oh boy, oh boy. All those naysayers and people who were hissing and spitting and cursing him for leaving Cleveland, I bet you they turned their cats right around and they're cheering him come back and hopefully win him an NBA championship.
My thought is that maybe it would be better for Cleveland because when LeBron couldn't win the championship with Cleveland the first time around, so when he saw Bosh and Wade go to Miami, he went to Miami and he won 2 championships. Meanwhile, Cleveland tanked and they got some high draft picks, Kyrie Irving and darn, I don't remember who that Wiggins. They just dealt Wiggins for a while, but they got some high draft picks and they should have better talent around LeBron James.
One can hope. I find basketball to be a little bit like baseball, and only that it seems that teams just have dynasties. I know it tends to happen in every sport, but I think to a lesser extent in football and hockey, you don't have teams that win like almost a full decade like the Lakers and the Yankees.
And with another thing with basketball is like one player can be the difference. Like when the Cavaliers had LeBron James, they were always one of the best teams in the NBA. They could never win a championship, but they were always one of the best teams. LeBron leaves, they became one of the worst, just like that.
Just like, well, when you think about it, I mean, say an average they score 100 points, that might be a high number, but if they score 100, and that night LeBron is really on fire, and he scores 32 of those points, that's almost a third of their score. I mean, one player out of how many people are on the basketball?
5.
Well, yeah, on the court, but how many people on the team?
About 13.
Yeah, so one player out of 13 makes 1/3 of the points. That's ridiculous.
I know,
There's
right?
no other sport like that.
Yeah. But we'll talk about another sport, lacrosse, and their new wacky mini game. When I first heard of mini games, here's my thought. Is this Mario Party? But here's how the mini game works.
They all get on top of giant balls, they run around and try to knock each other off a cliff, right?
Yeah, sure. But let's get some serious now. Okay, but game 1, the Buffalo Bandits win. Now here's game 2, the stipulation. Bandits win again. They advance to the next round, or they win the championship in the finals. Nighthawks win, and they play pretty much a sixth of the game. Lacrosse is normally 4 periods, 15 minutes long. They play a game that's 1 period, 10 minutes long. Whoever has the most points wins. If they have a tie, they go to sudden death overtime.
Right. So, basically, this is really stemming from the fact that lacrosse is not a major sport in the United States. It's not, well, it's major, but it's not one of the, we consider football, hockey, baseball, basketball to be 4 majors before one that's brought about. Unfortunately, part about lacrosse, like you were telling me in the break, is if they had a third game instead of just playing an immediate 10-minute, like, miniature overtime non-sudden death game, they have a hard time selling out, their arena ever.
It really is a shame that lacrosse is that small. I mean, Philadelphia, they used to have a team called the Philadelphia Wings, but they're just moving now because they can't compete with the Eagles, the Flyers, the Phillies, and the Sixers. And now they're gone, which means the Buffalo Bandits are now the oldest team in the National Lacrosse League now.
Yeah, lacrosse is a fun sport, and it's one of those that's still really a family sport. I mean, when you go see a Bills game, if you don't go on Kids Day, you're just going to get a whole bunch of drunken people. It's really, you go to lacrosse, and it's still a sport, but kind of like professional wrestling, there's a show aspect to it too. I mean, they have their own chance for going to the box, for gosh sake.
I know. And it's cheap. I mean, with NFL and NHL, I have to pay like my whole paycheck to get a ticket. If I can get a ticket, if it's not sold out. Last time I got to a Bills game, I got them for free from my friend Bill, and the last time I went to a SABRES game was a turkey drive, so I got discounts. But lacrosse is cheap,
Right.
like minor league hockey and minor league baseball. So, I mean,
Unlike minor league hockey and minor league baseball, you are watching for the sake of price the best of that sport. And if we can say one thing about a Buffalo team that has disappointed, Buffalo Bandits are either the best or competing for the best almost every year. I mean, has there been a year in the last decade that they haven't been good?
actually, they missed the playoffs last year. Okay, last year they missed the playoffs. This year they've had a bizarre season. This is how it went. They started 8-2. Then they went on an 8-game losing streak. They go to the playoffs, but they managed to hang on and go to the playoffs. They beat Toronto in the first round, and then they beat Rochester the next week. Under the old playoff format where it was single elimination, they would have got to the finals. But they said it was a new playoff format. The Nighthawks won, and you talk about the Bandits dominated. The Rochester Nighthawks have won 3 championships in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I mean, going back to when the MLL was first formed, the Buffalo Bandits have always been a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, 92, 93, 96, and 2008, they won championships. That's more than the Bills and the Sabres can say.
Right. How many championships does the Nighthawks win?
There's 5. They won 1 in 97, they won 1 in 2007, and then they won the last 3.
So they just won the Nighthawks.
Right. So.
Now, no closer to that than Buffalo. All you people in the state are like Rochester.
I'm sorry about this. Anyhow, we'll be getting away from sports, and then we'll talk about movies next. So, but most importantly, we'll be playing some great music. Up next is Jetliner by the Steve Miller Band. So keep up to 9.7 Music Found. Off of Weird Al Yankovic's newest album, his newest polka. What's it called again?
The polka is called Now That's What I Call Polka, and the album is Mandatory Fun.
Well, anyhow, we're going to switch gears, talking about sports to talk about movies. What movies have you seen recently, Dan?
Well, I had the unfortunate pleasure, but not the pleasure, of going to the drive-in and seeing Tammy and Neighbors. And I would not give any thumbs up to either one.
Well, the critics agree with you on Tammy and disagree with you on Neighbors. 23% approval score on Rotten Tomatoes for Tammy and 73% for Neighbors.
That's a pretty good score. Usually Rotten Tomatoes has some money, and I openly admit that I've seen some Seth Rogen that I like. Pineapple Express was my personal favorite, but I'm just not that into him.
Me neither. Last movie I saw was Non-Stop with Liam Neeson. 59% approval rating on Rotten.com, and I kind of agree with that. I mean, there's some. I mean, I kind of like the movie for the most part. I mean, it kept me guessing. I mean, who's behind this? But then the ending was,
It's funny. Overall, this summer I'd say it's a weak summer for blockbuster movies. Barring maybe Transformers, because there's a lot of people who like the high-graph series, but I've never been a big fan. So for me, I personally can't wait on August 1st for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that one's going to be fun and just kind of, unlike the Avengers, might be a little bit more just shooting up money, wisecracking, or the Avengers were kind of even a dramatic movie, especially with some of the background of some of the characters. But that's the one I'm holding for summer.
well, as of right now, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is #1 at the box office, and it's got 91% approval rating on RottenTomatoes.com. And I'm pretty much, I agree with you. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is the one I'm looking forward to most. I mean, those look like a good week. Hercules, well, I don't give The Rock. I have to argue with my brother. My brother views The Rock as just a big, dumb wrestler, but I think he has some talent.
It depends. Are you putting him in a comparison pool other actors, or are we putting in a comparison pool of people who acted movies who have other jobs that we need a job like wrestlers or sports that?
Okay, The Rock is a million miles ahead of other wrestlers who have acted. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, John Cena.
I think he's better than Michael Jordan. I know one of your favorite movies when you were growing up was Steve Cooper.
I agree. I grew up and I realized what a bad movie that was.
Still, it's not bad.
It's all right, yeah. And actually, I think this is almost out of battery, so we're gonna do one more music segment and then I'll be heading out. So anyhow, just Paramore with Misery Business. So keep off the 9.7 music, man. Sorry for the. Paramore and Misery Business will wrap up our show for tonight. Dan, do you have any final thoughts to the audience?
Well, here's my final thoughts on the show. No, it's been an honor. I'm doing so well tonight. It's been an honor, a privilege. John, you are or J-Red, I'm sorry. Did I give away your secret identity?
Yes, you did, you jerk.
You are great. You are a scholar and a gentleman, or at least one of you.
All right. That's Dan's final thoughts. My final thoughts. Yes, I am a scholar. And here's the MIB thing, so you can all forget that I'm John. Well, anyhow, yeah, we'll wrap up. Well, I have a special radio one. Okay. I'm done joking around, folks. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the show. I will post this show on YouTube since our website is down, so you can enjoy the show and listen to it again. And I will be back sometime. I'll have other guests. Thank you all for listening, but this computer will take it over, so keep off the 9.7 minutes. Have a great night.